Have you ever been lying in bed and suddenly your brain reminds you of something embarrassing you did 5, 10, maybe even 15 years ago? That awkward thing you said in class? That message you sent to the wrong person? That moment you waved at someone who wasn't actually waving at you? Meanwhile, some of the happiest days of your life, they feel strangely blurry. Why does your brain seem obsessed with preserving your most awkward memories while letting your best moments quietly fade away? Here's the surprising truth. Your memory isn't broken. It's doing exactly what it evolved to do, but not always in a way that helps you. By the end of this video, you'll understand why embarrassing moments seem immortal, what psychologists call the fading affect bias, and most importantly, how to stop your past from constantly interrupting your present. Let's begin. Most people imagine memory as a giant storage room where experiences are neatly filed away. But that's not how memory works. Your brain isn't recording life like a camera it's editing. Every time you remember something, your brain reconstructs the event from pieces rather than replaying an exact recording. That means memories aren't fixed, they're rewritten every single time you revisit them. Now here's where things become interesting. Researchers have found that emotional memories don't all fade at the same rate. For most ordinary experiences, the emotional intensity gradually weakens. But certain embarrassing or socially painful memories refuse to disappear. It's almost as if your brain keeps highlighting them with a bright red marker. Why? Because, from an evolutionary perspective, social mistakes once carried enormous consequences. Thousands of years ago, being rejected by your tribe could literally threaten your survival. Your brain learned an important lesson. Never forget the mistakes that might get you excluded. Even though you're no longer worrying about surviving in the wilderness, your brain still runs that ancient software. So when you accidentally call your teacher mom in front of the whole class, your brain treats it like valuable survival information, not because it matters today, but because it once would have. Think about it. Can you instantly remember one embarrassing moment from years ago? Chances are, yes. Now try remembering what you had for dinner exactly 1 week before that happened. Much harder, isn't it? That's selective memory at work. Now, here's something that sounds almost contradictory. Psychologists describe something called the fading affect bias. This refers to our tendency for the emotional intensity of negative memories to fade faster than positive ones over time. Wait, if that's true, why do embarrassing memories still haunt us? Because embarrassment is different. Embarrassment isn't just a negative emotion. It's deeply tied to identity and social evaluation. When you remember an embarrassing event, you're often not just recalling what happened, you're imagining how everyone else saw you. And that's where your brain starts exaggerating. In psychology, this connects with another phenomenon called the spotlight effect. People consistently overestimate how much others notice their mistakes. You assume everyone remembers that awkward presentation. Everyone noticed your voice crack. Everyone remembers that weird joke. Reality? Most people were busy thinking about themselves. The people around you are usually just as worried about their own embarrassing moments as you are about yours. Imagine walking into a cafe and accidentally dropping your drink. It feels like the entire room turns to stare. But ask the people sitting there an hour later what happened. Most won't even remember. Your brain creates a spotlight that doesn't actually exist. Here's another mystery. Vacations seem to end in a blink. Birthday celebrations become vague after a few years. Even major achievements slowly lose their emotional power. Why? Because happiness usually signals safety. Your brain enjoys it, but doesn't urgently need to study it. Embarrassing moments, on the other hand, feel like lessons. Your mind keeps replaying them, asking, what can we learn? What should we never do again? What could we have said differently? This replay creates familiarity, and familiarity makes memories feel stronger. Ironically, the more you revisit an embarrassing memory, the easier it becomes to remember again. It's like walking across the same patch of grass every day. Eventually, a visible path forms. Your brain builds that same path with repeated thoughts. Now compare that with happy memories. Most people enjoy them once, smile, then move on. They don't replay them nearly as often, which means those neural pathways don't get reinforced the same way. Here's a question for you. How often do you replay your biggest success compared to replaying your biggest mistake? The answer might explain why one feels so much more vivid than the other. there's another psychological reason embarrassing memories stick. Your brain hates unfinished business. When something feels unresolved, it keeps returning. Maybe you embarrassed yourself during a conversation. Years later, your brain still imagines the perfect comeback, the perfect explanation, the perfect version of yourself. But reality never allows you to rewrite the past, so your mind keeps opening the file without ever closing it. Think of it like leaving dozens of browser tabs open. Each one quietly consumes mental energy. Embarrassing memories often remain mentally unfinished. Happy memories usually don't. You don't lie awake wishing your birthday party had gone slightly better, but you might replay one awkward sentence from high school hundreds of times. Not because it matters, but because your brain never labeled it complete. Here's the irony. Every replay convinces your brain the memory is important, so it stores it even more carefully. You accidentally strengthen the very memory you're trying to forget. Imagine a university student giving a presentation. Halfway through, they forget what they were going to say. Their face turns red. They stumble through the next minute. To them, it feels catastrophic. For years afterward, they cringe every time they remember it. But ask their classmates months later. Most barely remember the presentation at all. Some don't even remember it happened. The student spent years carrying a memory nobody else was carrying. Sound familiar? We've all done this. Because embarrassment isn't measured by what actually happened. It's measured by the story we keep telling ourselves afterward. And stories become identities if repeated often enough. I always embarrass myself. I'm socially awkward. I never say the right thing. Those aren't facts. They're conclusions built from a handful of emotionally charged memories. So how do you stop your brain from replaying embarrassing moments? The first step is surprisingly simple. Stop treating the memory as evidence. Instead, treat it as data. There's a huge difference. Evidence says, this proves something is wrong with me. Data says, this is something that happened. One defines your identity. The other simply describes an event. Second, ask yourself one question. If someone else did this, would I judge them as harshly as I'm judging myself? Almost always, the answer is no. That's because we naturally give other people compassion while denying it to ourselves. Third, intentionally revisit positive memories. Not in a forced way. Just spend a few moments replaying meaningful achievements, genuine compliments, moments of courage, or times you made someone smile. Remember, your brain strengthens what you repeatedly revisit. If you only replay failures, your mind starts believing failure is your entire story. But it isn't. One final thought. Imagine carrying a backpack. Every embarrassing memory is like placing another small stone inside. One stone isn't heavy. Neither are 10, but after years, the weight becomes exhausting. The strange part? Many of those stones aren't even real anymore. They're memories distorted by time, emotion, and self-criticism. The event happened once, but you've relived it hundreds of times. The replay became more painful than the original experience, and that's something you actually have the power to change. Every time you respond to an embarrassing memory with curiosity instead of shame, you weaken its grip. Every time you remember that everyone else is too busy worrying about themselves, you shrink the imaginary spotlight. Every time you choose to replay a meaningful success instead of an old mistake, you help your brain build a new path. So the next time your brain suddenly reminds you of that awkward thing you did years ago, pause, smile, and remember this. Your memory isn't trying to torture you. It's trying to protect you using rules that were written for a completely different world. The embarrassing moment doesn't define who you are. The meaning you continue giving it does. And perhaps the people who still remember it the most are only you. If this video made you see your own memories differently, let me know in the comments. What's one embarrassing moment you finally realized nobody else probably remembers? And if you enjoy exploring the hidden psychology behind everyday life, consider liking the video and subscribing, because sometimes understanding your mind is the first step toward finally making peace with it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.